Hey guys, and welcome to the FitPro Social with me, David Kyle.
And me, Ash Burley.
Hey guys, and welcome to the FitPro Social. This week, I'm in charge, and I want to talk a little bit about online coaching. So, I've always had a fitness facility, and obviously, doing this podcast with Ash, he is perfectly placed to talk about the online side of running a fitness business. But something that we have both noticed, it just seems like the quality of the online coaching seems to have dropped quite a lot over the last couple of months. And that's kind of what we want to talk about today. So, Ash, tell us more. What is online coaching for those people who are still not familiar with it?
So online coaching is it's basically, it should be exactly what you do in person, but in an online format. It's just a different way of delivering your services to somebody. In reality, that's what it should be. So most people know online coaching as you might have a client and you can't be with them in person, so you then deliver your services to them remotely. That could be using an app, it could be using Google Sheets or Excel, it could be using PDFs, it could just be using WhatsApp or anything like that. It's basically any remote way of delivering your services to a client is effectively what online training is.
Yeah, I kind of see that. But one of the things that we've definitely noticed a lot of, especially with gyms who are struggling, or maybe it's not going as well, is they suddenly see all these kind of videos and pictures of people
Mm.
going online, living on the beach and all that rubbish, and think, oh, you know what? I should create a branch of an online side to my fitness
Mm.
business. I could just get a real simple app. They just do that, leave them to it, and charge £100 a month. But that really isn't the case, is it now?
No, not at all. I mean, just the first thing there about the beach thing. If you ever tried to work on a laptop on a sandy beach, you won't do it for very long. It's not a nice
No,
experience, I'll
the
tell you that.
battery
It
will
looks good on
die so
Instagram.
quickly on the laptop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, looks good on Instagram, but that's about it. So yeah, I think that's actually half the problem. One of the things that we've noticed is that the stand, especially on online, the standard of online training is actually quite poor. It's quite low, and I don't think that's necessarily any anyone's fault as such. I think it's just the way the industry is at the moment. It's a relatively new industry. It's only been around about 20 years, which is not long in reality compared to other industries. And in the early days when it first started, you maybe had a handful of people who thought, oh, I'd deliver PDFs online and have all these different kind of programs you can deliver, these different kind of, I want to work on my bicep. So this is the best bicep workout PDF I can buy for like $10 or something. That's kind of where online training originally started. And it kind of developed a bit from there. As soon as apps came out, more people started using apps. They had membership websites and that kind of thing. But still, only a small amount of people were doing it. And in reality, back then, they were all information-based products. And that's all they were. Like, here's some information, go away and implement it and do it yourself. That was never really what we did as PTs. If you think about when we coach people and we work with people in our gyms, we don't just say, here's a workout, where you go. Most of the time, we tend to work with them. We'll have discussions with them. We talk about them. We hold them accountable, all that kind of thing. That never really happened in the early days of online training. And since then, it started to build up. There are now software. There's now people are looking at different ways of actually coaching people online. So working with them, speaking to them, holding them accountable, that kind of thing, bringing more value to the service that they offer. And that's great how that's starting to happen. But because I think of this, what happened in the early days, because people see it as like, oh, it's just PDFs, it's just giving people information. A lot of businesses, when they maybe start to struggle on the in-person stuff, especially, or in the, with their gym or anything like that, they'll go, well, actually, I saw this 10 years ago. I saw this whenever it was and thought, this looks easy. I can create all this information I've got in my head. I can put it down into a membership site, or I can put it down into a course, or I can put it into a PDF or whatever, or an app, and I can just go and sell it to people. And what you effectively then do is just selling information. And I think most people would agree now, things have changed slightly. We don't really live in an information era as much anymore. Like, information is so readily available. You can find everything you could get out of your head and put on a piece of paper, delivered to somebody, you can get for free. There's nothing new. There's nothing special in reality about what we teach as trainers and coaches and nutritionalists. Like, most of us, all we do really is regurgitate the same information. And it's literally everywhere. I can go to ChatGPT, I can type it in and ask it to write me a workout program based on my goals, and it will do it pretty well in reality. Like, it does it pretty well. Go on Google, I can find the same information again if I want recipes or meal plans. I can go on to Google and say, right, make some meal plans for this, and it'll do it for me. It'll find it. So all that information's there. So there's no real value in that. And I think that's because of that. I think when a lot of businesses say, right, I want to try and offer this online element alongside what I'm doing, thinking it will give them this quick income, this way of actually dealing with some of the problems they've got, it doesn't work, because all they're really doing now is just selling information people have available to them at their fingertips. And that, I think, rapidly devalues what it is that you offer. Because if you're being sold something, but you've seen this on an app somewhere that's free, or an app that's a couple of quid, or a PDF that you've downloaded from Instagram, there's no value there at all. And I think that's something we really need to look at and address as an industry. I think we need to start thinking and treating online training as an actual way of coaching and holding people accountable, and not try and replicate what was done 10 years ago, 15 years ago, because that's old hat and times have changed and it won't work anymore. And if you want a sustainable online business, it really can't be the way to go. It needs to be about coaching and accountability moving forward.
It's really interesting to kind of see the online. Obviously, I've never had an online fitness business yet. FitPro and Leadec are complete online fitness, online businesses. But one of the things that we noticed that works so well with having a face-to-face offline fitness business was people were coming through the door. And once we can get someone through the door, we'd basically sold them. Whereas when we help online fitness coaches, and the key word there is coaches, that is the most important word there, is it's harder to sell because you need to build the trust. And if you're speaking to somebody who's on the other side of the country or other side of the world or in different continents or something, it's going to be harder to convince to sell to that specific person because they don't know who you are. You've got nothing in common. So it's harder to sell. So if you're just trying to sell them a £79 PDF and there's nothing else to it, then you are really going to struggle. Now, the ones we both know succeed amazingly well at online coaching is because they actually coach the clients. There's an actual structure to it. There might be a weekly group call. There's a Sunday night check-in form that they all need to fill. It's not one-to-one. It is group setup, but it's actual coaching. People are coming to be held accountable, to be told to be told to do the work.
It's cornflakes. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I think that's literally what people come for. In reality, when you go to the gym in a studio, yes, they walk through the door. You've got something there. There's trust by default because you've got this building there. You've done half the battle getting them through the door. And when they're there, you are holding them accountable. You coach them, you check in with them. They can see their progress. You give them support when you need it. And of course, you do give them bits of information, but that information has stuck with it. The information normally is, okay, here's the info. This is why we're doing it. This is how you're going to do it. This is when you're going to do it, and so on. And we do that in person. And in order to be successful online, you kind of need to do that same process online as well. And I say just selling a PDF and a download isn't really going to do that. And the big issue you have there is you might get lucky. You might have maybe a huge following. You might run loads of ads at it, and people might just buy it on the off chance. You're probably not going to get a huge conversion rate doing it that way. And you're not going to take them anywhere, because if they spend a few bucks on a PDF, it's where they go to next. And I think that's the important thing. You can't really treat online as just, okay, I'm going to sell a few PDFs here. I'm going to sell a few one-off programs. You really start treating it like its own business and start thinking, okay, how can I start making sustainable long-term income from this business? And it's actually this very similar model to what most gyms probably do, where you'd have some kind of front-end offer, you'd bring them into it. That would help build up some trust even more, and then you move them into some kind of recurring revenue after. That's probably the most successful online system we've seen. But that to work, you need accountability. You need coaching as such. It's not just here's some info and away you go.
I think the perfect example here really is for offline businesses is the difference between a gym and a studio bootcamp one-to-one PT. They go to a gym because they think they can do it themselves. They don't need the accountability. They don't need the support. They just pay a real cheap fee to go to a gym, and they've got to then do it themselves. You've got to find the motivation, the accountability, the coaching, the regimented side to actually go and do it themselves. Whereas they pay more money to come to a boot camp or one-to-one, a studio where they're actually being coached, where they're being held accountable, where they are being told what to do. And again, this is the frustration we see with the online side of things. Like, we know it's hard setting up an online fitness business. It's so hard because you have to build that trust with that person, which is way harder than face-to-face.
Yeah.
So if you're selling them a one-off program and they've got to do it themselves, first of all, you have to let them know that is the process, because if you don't tell them that's the process, they'll keep messaging you, they'll keep coming back, and then you'll start getting resentful of them. Well, they only paid me 50 quid, and now they're asking me all these questions, and they're messaging me every single day, and they're emailing me, and they're wanting some help. That's probably because you didn't tell them that this is just a simple product. This is just a one-off thing, whereas the coaching element is completely different. So that is like for offline, a gym and a PT studio, boot camp studio setup. That's the difference with with online as well. Program versus coaching. Yeah,
I think that's a great example, and I think it's a great example that a lot of maybe trainers listening to this can relate to. If you're a personal trainer listening to this, the chances are you don't own a massive gym. Chances are there's a few massive gyms around, obviously, but the chances are you don't own it. You may be working in one, but you don't own it, and that is a relatively lowish ticket, lowish priced thing. With, like Dave said there, you would go in and you're training there, think you know what you're doing, and you try your best to get a result. Maybe you're a PT that works in there. Now, if you want to go online and you think I'm going to go online to make some extra income doing that, I'm going to sell these individual items, these individual like products at a low price, take a look at that gym and compare it to the two, because think about how many members they need to bring through. Think about the churn of those members as well that's in there. Like, you have to do exactly the same thing if you want to make any chance of having any kind of decent income from online, selling it in that particular way. Because unless you start approaching this as like a marketeer, then you've really got very little chance of making anything successful out of that. Where
the examples there, like a gym, they've got 1,000 members and maybe only a very maximum of 30% of people are going to attend. You're probably looking at more like 15, maybe even 10% of the people of their entire member base actually turn up every single week. Now, from that 10%, maybe only 1% actually get phenomenal results from coming to your gym. And if this is the same for online, you might sell these one-off ebooks and you're just like, oh, no one's getting me results. No one's doing the stuff. How am I supposed to promote it? It's the same philosophy. It's the same setup. You will, but it's going to be a very, very, very small amount of people who are going to take that information and actually do it. The rest are either going to just say, your program wasn't good enough, it didn't work for me, or just completely not do it at all. They've just paid you and just never done it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it can also relate to in terms of like the margins on the business as well. If you've got the huge overheads that a big gym would have like that, you need the high numbers in order to even start making any real profit on there. Same thing happens if you're just selling information products. You need numbers coming through the door. Like, you really do need those numbers and consistently bring those numbers in. And that's hard. That is hard work to do. It really, really is. You compare that to, say, like the studio owners that we talked about, you apply that same logic to online coaching. That's really where the majority of PTs will probably end up if they try and, as their business develops, yeah, you'll start off working in the box gym, but a lot of them, as their careers go, they probably start looking at their own studios and things like that as they progress. Same kind of principle here with the online. That's really is the approach you want to start to take. And if you're going to take that approach, it's important that the programs and things that you put together follow a similar kind of approach. And one of the things I always do when I'm working with people is talk about like, what exactly do you do with your clients in the gym, and take that and try and transfer that online. And it's amazing how many people don't do that. I'll give you a couple of examples. So the other day I was speaking to, I'll not say the names, but I was speaking to a client, and one of the things they wanted to do when they first come see us was to say, all right, I want this option where they can sign up the client. I want to have complete autonomy over it. I want them to pick the exercises they want to do, and they can build out their own workouts in the app. If they've got an injury, I want them to be able to swap it with another exercise to suit them. And I was like, okay, let's just stop there a minute. I was like, do you do that with your clients in person? So when you're working from the gym, I was like, well, no. So if you look at that from an in-person point of view, you're basically saying, I'm a PT, you're paying me X amount of money per month, which is the approach you wanted to take, a monthly subscription. Quite a decent amount, but and so they're coming to you in the gym, and the client turns up and they go, right, and okay, what am I doing? I said, I don't know, you tell me. We've got all these exercises you can choose from. So which one do you want to do? And just sit there and listen, and they'll be like, well, I don't know, because I've come to you because you're the expert. And they go, okay, then, well, have you got any injuries? He goes, yeah, well, I've got a bad knee. Okay, cool. So which exercise do you want to swap it for? And he'd be like, I don't know, because I'm not an expert. And I think that's the problem. I think a lot of the time we kind of think this autonomy, this kind of like giving them all this information, giving them these options is a better way to do it online. If you actually really think about it, it's the complete opposite. They're coming to you as an expert because they don't know better, and you're trying to give them all these options. You want to reduce these options and be that coach, be that expert, do exactly what you do in person. Just the advantage you're going to get online when you have the right systems and stuff in place, especially, is that, like you mentioned earlier, it's like a group approach to doing almost one-to-one. You can do one-to-one check-ins, you can adapt and adjust stuff. It really comes down to your systems that make it a bit more scalable, and you have more autonomy over your time. You can choose when you work and so on like that. But that all comes down to the systems. The actual approach that you take is actually shouldn't really be any different to what you do in person.
Okay, can I stop you there then? So this is an interesting thing that you're saying then. So this person, I actually think there is a time and a place to have that setup.
Mm-hmm.
And that time and a place is going to be somebody at a specific period in their training cycle or their knowledge. So like if Barbara, mother of two, hasn't trained in 20 years, has no idea what to do, wants to lose a bit of weight, have more time with the kids and everything, that isn't going to work for that person. Whereas if you've got a seasoned professional, or you've got a 17, 18-year-old guy who's quite fit anyway, they've been going to the gym quite a lot recently anyway, and they just want to top up their knowledge to kind of experience different things. Like you say, they got a knee injury and they're just not 100% sure, but they are self-motivated. That's the perfect app for it, because it can guide them, it teaches them what to do. But if they don't have the willpower to go and do it themselves, that's why they come to you for the, again, it comes back to you, the coaching. They're coming to you for the coaching and the accountability.
Yeah, there's definitely exceptions. I won't say necessarily exceptions to the rule. There's a time and place, I would say, that for everything. So, for example, that what you just mentioned there about being able to pick and choose exercise and stuff, there is definitely a time and place for that, and to do it when you're at a certain experience level. But then I'd also argue whether you need to have that within your own systems. I'll give you another example of this. This is what I used to do when I was coaching people online. So not necessarily with that type of thing, because some of these apps didn't exist. We'll talk about these other apps in a minute. But I hired a client who originally they had a PT, and they did a similar kind of thing. They needed like help to try and do it. They wanted to go to the gym, and the trainer and they said, right, you should do this, this, and this. You can help pick some of these exercises because they were struggling, but we need to go and do 45 minutes at the gym and so on. And that for them didn't really work. They couldn't do it consistently. So they actually went to hire me as an online coach to go and work with them. And I was charging them more than what they were for the in-person stuff. And I was giving them a hell of a lot less. And to the point where their program was, I didn't give them anything inside an app. I didn't build or change anything in the services that I was giving. I just got them to complete a DVD at home. I said, oh, this week we get like DVDs. And the reason I did that is because this particular person, they didn't have much time. They wanted to spend time with their children. They were a single mum. And I realized that their kids, after speaking to them a little bit, like to dance, and like they enjoyed that kind of stuff. They went to dancing classes. So I got them to get the Davina McCall dance DVD that you get, got them to put it on. So do that 3 times a week with your kids and do something together. And she got much better results from that. And it's that same principle where, yes, sometimes you can give them some autonomy over choice, but it doesn't have to be within your system, within your app. So to go on that line there about this client I was speaking to saying they want to try and build this within their own app and deliver it that way, I think that's a bad idea, because what you're effectively doing there is if you can coach them for a while, but they're going to be using this app and this software to try and build their own workouts and things like that, well, all this stuff is available out there free for them. So what you can do as a coach is say, well, actually, I'm going to work with you and say, yes, I can help you do this. I can hold you accountable. What I want you to do is go and download this particular app here. It will allow you to build it up, or here's a book you can write your exercises and the stuff in. Just because it's online doesn't mean you have to use your own stuff all the time. You can get them to use other things. And a huge example of this that happens all the time is MyFitnessPal. A lot of coaches will use MyFitnessPal, even though they have their own training app. They'll still use MyFitnessPal alongside it. And if you phrase that right, it's a great way of doing it, because you can literally go to the idea like, I want to teach you autonomy. I want to help you be able to do this for life. I know in reality, you're not going to be paying me every single day for the rest of your life. At some point, you will be leaving this program. So you want to try and set them up with the skills to keep moving forward. So you can actually get them to use other apps if you want to, alongside what you're doing with your coaching. MyFitnessPal is an example, but just frame it that way and just say, look, we're going to give you this now because I want to give you the tools so you can continue doing this. And this is just a tool we're going to use. And I think if you start treating applications and software as a tool to help your coaching, as opposed to anything else, I think that's the better way to go about it.
Do you think then it's what they've seen others post about and do. They're trying to match their business to somebody who's already in a successful place. The reason I'm saying that is I'm thinking now, if I was brand new, I've just a brand new PT, I've just qualified, I had no clients, there'd be no point in me opening a brand new studio, kitting it out, spending 30, 40 grand and opening a new studio. It would be pointless. I would just be hemorrhaging money. I need to, go and join a commercial gym and work from there, start a one-to-one, do an outdoor boot camp, work out for someone else's gym, try and really build up my client base before I then go and spend all this money on my own specific thing. And just think of it like that then. You reckon it's because they're seeing competitors, other people on these other platforms saying, I've got my own app, it's really good, but they don't see the behind the scenes where this person is actually supporting 1,000 clients a week. And it's just better to have it all in one place for them rather than if you're brand new and you've only got 4 clients, but then you're going to spend 20K on building this amazing app. Then you've just, you could have done a lot better with MyFitnessPal, Google Sheets, and a Woofu form or something just to get them to check in once a week.
Yeah, what 100%. I think there's a lot of this kind of like, I've got my own app, I've got this own thing, I've got all this, and that's kind of fine. But we also have to remember as well, when we see that, it's normally a marketing, not ploy, a marketing tactic or something. Yeah. And I think as business owners, because then we have to remember that as PTs, especially in the UK and in most places of the world, we're really, what personal trainers are not personal trainers. We're business owners and we offer personal training as a service. That's in reality how we need to start approaching this. And that's extremely important when it comes to online training. We really need to remember that this online training is the service that we offer. And when we go and look at things online, we see people post about our apps, our software, this amazing thing we've got. We have to remember who they're actually writing that for and who they're doing it for. They're doing it because they want to attract their ideal client into their business. They're not trying to attract us into their business. And part of that means not always showing them what's behind the curtain. That can come a little bit later on. So a lot of what you see on there will be this front end of it, this okay, let's get people in. And then once they're in, yeah, we can move them on to using different apps. We can move them on to using different software. Like I've done that before. We've got clients we work with, like, as you know, we specialize in using the Distinction app, but we still have clients that when we work for their programs, we get to the point where saying, well, actually, there's probably other ways you could do this. You don't necessarily need to give them this app to go and do it. There's other ways to do it, and that's completely fine. Doesn't mean you have to do that at the front end. And I think it's important to remember that whenever we're looking at anything online and seeing what people post, that's the surface of what's actually going on, and especially with pricing. I see that so much all the time. A lot of people say, "How do I compete with this person who's got this app for like £20 a month?" Or whatever, and you think they can't live off that, and like they can't. But that's not what they're offering. What they're offering is behind that, and you can't see that yet. And I think it's really important to remember that.
Let me tell you about someone I know then. So they charge £10 a week. That's what they charge, £10 a week for their online fitness business. It wouldn't be one-to-one coaching, it's group coaching. Now, what they have, and this is going to blow your mind, okay? They have a Facebook group. That's it.
Wow.
That's it.
That's amazing.
£10 a week. They do 5 sessions live a week at a certain time every night. And everybody gets to join in live on Zoom, or they put their camera off and they'll just follow along. And then everybody posts in the group how well the session went. They'll share their nutrition, they'll share their struggles. And she's got a couple of thousand people in this group, and she charges them £10 a week. And it's all done in a Facebook group. No fancy apps, no software here, no this there, no anything that. So it really does show, like, I remember when I started as a PT, Google Sheets. Today's workout, this is the kind of food I want to eat, just fill it for me, and that was it. And then I discovered MyFitnessPal. Oh my God, that's free, and it helps them track their food. Okay, Google Sheets, the workout, MyFitnessPal to track your food. And that was it. When we did the small SGPT down in Southampton, we were charging over £1,000 for the 12-week program, £350 a month when they joined full time, and their booking app was a Google Sheet. And these are things that we need to remember. Like Ash said, then we are business owners first. Service providing is the actual service, is the actual offering that we give, and there's no point spending £100 on this app and £200 on that app and £300 on this app and £50 on that app when you've only got 10 clients all paying you £30 a month. Like, you're a business owner. The business owner is all about making money. Your aim is to make as much money as you can, which means make as much profit as you can. And if your expenses are far outweighing the money you've got coming in, then you just don't need this stuff until you get to a specific level either.
Definitely, yeah. Like, you just end up hemorrhaging money, as you mentioned. Like, you just start simple. I was very similar. I started with Google Sheets, Google Form, and
Google
text
Form,
message.
yeah.
That was it. Basically, what I started with when I first did it online. And that's what you need, and you build up eventually. I think the way you build up, and I always try and say this without any software, it's a tool. That's all it is. And you can decide on what the right tool is. That tool is never going to make or break your business. It's like, even with Lead Deck, what you do, like, Lead Deck is still a tool. Like, I can give you that software and tell you to do nothing with it, but you still have to have the systems and things in place and learn how to do them and understand what those systems are. I mean, luckily, you guys have it already pre-built in there, but you still need to understand and have those principles in place. And that's the same with anything that you do. And eventually you'll find tools to help you with your business when you need to move it to that next level. So I use the person you mentioned there a second ago with the Facebook. It's an awesome way of doing. We've got a few clients who have done that. And if you've got the high numbers, perfect. And you can be there consistently doing the lives and things like that. And that's all completely great. The only thing I'd ever say about that, and this is what we tend to doing when they get older, is I always say to anybody these days, like, for now, it doesn't matter, but as your business grows, something you should always have in the back of your mind is, can I do what I'm doing now every single day for the rest of my life? Until I retire, I should say. That's the key thing. So if you're using a Facebook group, that's great. That's completely fine. If they decide to get rid of Facebook groups, what are you going to do about that? You need to make sure you're thinking about these kind of things. If you're doing 5 live sessions every morning in that Facebook group, okay, that's cool. So what happens when you go on holiday and you want to break? How many of those can you have? What happens if you want more freedom to be able to travel more? So how's that going to work in there? What happens if you get injured and you can't do it anymore? What happens if you eventually get to the point where, okay, I'm doing this now because I'm in my 20s and 30s, but when I get to my 40s, 50s and 60s and I'm still working, I'm like, don't want to be getting up every morning doing these amazing workouts in there. And yes, you can build that business to a point where you've got enough cash and capital to then either take a step back and look at something else, or you then look at how you can change those systems to still deliver the same quality of service, but in a different way. And that doesn't have to be apps. That can be, okay, maybe we can employ people. Maybe we can bring on a team of people to help us do this, and PTs. Maybe we can look at maybe not having live, having pre-recorded stuff. Maybe we can look at having a membership site where that stuff can be delivered as well. So all these different things that I'm talking about are literally just tools. All they are, and the tools that you can apply to your business as it develops and grows. What you don't need to do is, what you was alluding to there, is at the very start, go, right, I need this, 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 and this, spend a load of money. And it just doesn't work in reality. Like, you need to start basic, start simple, and then use these tools as your business develops and as you need them.
I think the two things to consider with these tools and apps, like you say, at the same time, it's definitely going to be a case of someone's not going to join you because you've got an app. Like,
yeah,
I've got this amazing app. It's great. It's an app you download on your phone and you can do everything on the app. They're not joining you for the app. They're joining you for you. They literally only want to train with you because of you. You shared your story, your successes, how you do things, your philosophy. They believe in you, and that's why people came to FitHub 30. That's why people come to Ash for like PT distinction help. They come for that person. So if your sales strategy is to tell the world, I've got this app, then, I mean, I might tell my mum later, Mum, I've got this new app.
Yeah.
She'll be like, I have no idea what that means. And my mum is the perfect target audience for our studio, or for the studio. But if I tell Mum, I've got this app for your nutrition, she's like, oh, okay. Like, she doesn't know. Like, we know because this is what we need to learn to grow our business. That isn't the sales tactic. Our sales tactic is us and the success that we can get through the process. And the app isn't the process. The app is like way, way, way down the bottom of things you want to promote.
Yeah. It's like, I want to get a new kitchen for your house, and the person sort of selling you the kitchen sells you the hammer they're going to build it with. Like, it doesn't mean anything to anybody. And I think also with apps, I think just one thing I'll mention on that is they can, if you push the app forward, devalue your service. People have a perception of how much apps are worth. They're free or very, very cheap. So if that becomes your front end, if you like, of what you're talking about, there's going to be a perceived idea of what you're going to be charging for that program as well. So I think you have to be very careful with that kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely, they don't come to you for the software and the tools that you have. They come for you for you and how you can help them and the problems that you solve for them. And that's pretty much it, really.
Yeah. So after everything we've talked about for the last half an hour, don't sell the app, sell yourself. The end.
The end. That's pretty much what it all comes down to.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that's about half an hour, isn't it? It's all good.
Nice. If anybody is listening along and you want to maybe discuss, or you disagree, or you agree with what we're saying, this is what this podcast is all about. It's all about having a chat, less marketing, less being very specific on one specific topic. We want to have these open discussions so you guys listen and watching along can have your views, can have your comments. Either you do them below, or you actually say, you know what, I want to come on and actually want to chat about what you talked about last week, to either agree or disagree. So if you are listening and you want to learn more, to come on, or you just got your own comments, then do let us know in the comments below if you agree and you disagree, because again, it's all learning. It's all, we all just learn from each other.
Yeah, we don't know. It's just our experience, isn't it? It's our experiences and what we've seen that we want to share. And we always want people to challenge our experience and challenge our knowledge. And we want to learn and better. And
not too much.
Not too much. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, guys, for listening. Thanks very much for joining us. And that's it from me and Dave. And we'll see you for the next episode.
Thank you. Bye-bye.